it every single Wednesday. Johnny Mac does spots on his show on 97.3 down the shore, ESPN radio. So always appreciate the contribution Gil gives us when he jumps in with us. One of the questions I would have liked to ask Mike Gill, and again, our fault, we kind of went down a wormhole with the whole
We
coaching
always
thing
do.
and
Yeah, we always
history
do.
and overanalyzing what's transpired before and how it applies to today. Here's a question I didn't want to get with to him, but we just ran out of time. If Jalen Hurts and A.J. Brown are playing football together 2 years from now, and it's not here in Philadelphia, it's somewhere else, where would you suggest that would be, John? Because AJ came out and said, yo, Howie, get it done.
Yeah.
If not, you can
By the
package
way,
me to wherever
yeah.
Jalen's playing. You get it that I've got my tongue implanted in my cheek here.
Yes.
Don't think it's happening. But if it would be, come on, McMullen, Mr. GM, come up with a team, a landing spot where those two guys could go together and continue to hold
I
hands.
guess their backyards, because there's no way they're not going to be in Philadelphia. There's certainly, I would say, in 2 years, 100% Jalen Hurts is in Philadelphia. AJ Brown, I'll put him at 99.5% because, probably shouldn't talk about the GM. Let him do his work. But no, there is no chance that. Think about it, Jody. If Jalen's going to sign his extension, even if the worst case scenario happens, he has a catastrophic injury, he drops off the table. He's still going to be around in 2 years, whether it's rehabbing, whether it's going through it where we went. How long did it take Carson Wentz to finally drop off the table? So that time frame is too short. They're both going to be here, and they're both going to be big parts of this team. They're both really good players, and I wouldn't be concerned about that. But AJ should probably not say that kind of stuff. That's the only thing I would
He's
say.
sticking up for his guy.
Yeah.
No one should be surprised by it. We might not agree with it or like it, but nobody should be surprised by it that he went down that road. And yeah, I'm going to keep that sliver intact. Sorry, Eagle fans. If the negotiation goes awry, and I don't know enough about, do you have enough information and or opinion on Jalen's agent and how difficult he could be in a negotiation?
It's a
Or
she.
she can be, right. Thank
Yeah.
you for correcting me.
Yeah. Nicole Lynn is his agent. No difficulty whatsoever in the fact that not that say that she's going to be hard on the team, and he's going to get 47 to 52 million dollars. But the Eagles know the cost of doing business. That usually in these instances, there are certain teams that are going to be really difficult. The Eagles are not one of those teams, but Jeffrey Lurie's proven it. One of the reasons the Eagles are the Eagles is because they have good ownership. Now, we got the comments back. I saw one, we were talking about Seth earlier. Well, it happened to Jeff Saturday. I saw one comment. Yeah, Jim Irsay's the owner. It's not happening in Philadelphia because they have good ownership.
Yeah, and what was Jeff Saturday's extensive one-loss record as the head coach?
Yeah, well, not even the point. I mean, they would never go in that direction. Jim Irsay's a bit of a wild card. He's going to do some unconventional things, and he even tried to bring him back until he was talked out of it. Jeffrey's good, and people should appreciate. And I criticize Jeffrey when he deserves criticism. And an example of Nick's got to watch his back, because when the expectations are this high, and Doug Peterson went through it, Jeffrey Lurie doesn't like when expectations aren't reached. And when expectations aren't reached, then you get scapegoats. That's my one criticism of Jeffrey Lurie. As far as compared to other owners, I mean, easily top 5 in the NFL, and probably higher than that, probably close to, 1, 2, 3, close to that range. So
I agree, but just one question, and please don't take me wrong here, Eagles fans. because if you've been listening to me here, not Birds 365, but certainly way back when on WIP and other places, every once in a while you run into a Terrell Owens. After the season that the Eagles had going to the Super Bowl, they should have been able to stay together as a team. And some people have vehemently disagreed with me on this. T.O. blew up the team. That's my opinion. I wasn't there every single day. I wasn't an Eagle beat writer, but I had enough guys that I was close with, and there was one guy on the team that I actually knew. And again, they drew sides with the Philadelphia Eagles. There was Donovan side, the Eagles side, and the T.O. side. The people that I trusted most, that I knew best, said, yeah, it's just outrageous the way T.O. handled himself and what he was asking for and how the relationships went. Donovan wasn't blameless, but it was certainly more on T.O. The Eagles should have been able to keep that team together. And Jeff Lurie, who is an owner, a top 5 owner, a guy who's willing to pay, a guy who's willing to go the extra degree, couldn't keep that from blowing up. So there is always the possibility that a contract or the ask of a contract becomes so outrageous that you just can't good conscience go write the check. Is there any chance that that's the case with Jalen Hurts? That's the question I'm asking.
No, you're comparing Jalen Hurts to Terrell Owens. I mean, you just said T.O.'s history is well documented. Look, tremendous player, phenomenally talented, but he's a knucklehead. I mean, Jalen Hurts is the exact opposite of that. He's the most grounded in 24-year-old you're ever going to meet.
So Jeff Lurie will take advantage of the fact that he's grounded and be able to get him for less than maybe he could.
No. I didn't say he was dumb. I said he was grounded. He's very mature. He's very you see him. He's very focused on his job. He's very focused on getting better. The tremendous work ethic. T.O. was T.O. is the definition of the diva wide receiver. When you look that up in the dictionary, you're going to see his picture.
Okay.
He is, and whenever Antonio Brown gave him a run for his money. Whenever you have a player like that who's willing to blow up a locker room, you shouldn't. Here's the bottom line, Jody. If you want to blame Jeffrey Lurie for anything involving T.O., blame him for bringing him in the first place. And people don't want to do that because he had the one great season and they made the Super Bowl and he was a phenomenal player. The time bomb. That it's ticking. It's coming. You should know. And that was in the midst of it. So you're willing to take that opportunity. You probably learned from that. We talked about, you learn from things, experience. He learned from being an owner. He learned from hiring Ray Rhodes. All right, I don't want a defensive coach anymore. This is an offensive league. I'm going to go in that direction. And he's done a tremendous job. I'm not saying he gets everything right. He doesn't get everything right. Why did he bring Deshaun Jackson back? I have no stinking idea. That was a dumb decision. There's dumb decisions along the way, but everything's a percentage. They make more good decisions than most other teams. That's how I judge.
I understand the point you're making, and please, Eagle fans, you're going to kill me here because I'm even suggesting something could go awry with the negotiation. My only point in comparing the two situations was this. Just on a purely football level, there was no reason why anyone should have thought that the Eagles wouldn't be able to keep T.O. and Donovan together, and after that Super Bowl loss, continue on and take a couple of shots and maybe actually win one. It just made too much football sense that they wouldn't try and do that. A fly came into the ointment. In this case, it was T.O.'s diva mentality. You and I agree on that. I'm just wondering, is there a potential fly in the ointment that
there's always, I think the better
can't overcome?
I think the better example would be Carson Wentz. There are certain things you can't predict. Nobody predicted we're going to draft a quarterback in the second round to be a cost-effective backup, and the starting quarterback who was just made the highest paid player in franchise history, less than a year before or whatever it was. I think it was less than a year. Um, is going to lose his mind because he's, got conspiracy theories in his head. I I I don't know how you can control that. There's always a fly there's always a fly around the corner, Jody. But it ain't going to be Jalen
Is there a
Hurts.
fly in the potential Jalen Hurts negotiation?
It ain't going
That's
to be
my
Jalen
question.
Hurts. It ain't going to be Jalen Hurts. There's going to be other flies in the ointment, but going to where you want to go ultimately, which is obviously the Super Bowl. By the way, that's a fly in the ointment. The actual expectations, they're unrealistic. I talk about it all the time. You got a whole bunch. We got the commenters back there. Oh, Gill and McMullen are stupid. Blah blah blah. They think that they think Jonathan. They all think. We had somebody on the show, and I don't want to pick on them, but they said that can't happen at the Super Bowl. That can't happen. And I say to myself, you're in the Super Bowl. You're in the Super Bowl. There's 30 other teams that aren't in the Super Bowl. There's 30 other teams that couldn't make it to that level. Right there, you got to start. That's where you got to start and say, this is a pretty good football team.
Right,
Was it disappointing? Sure.
Sometimes they bring it on themselves. Doug Peterson, this is the new norm. Should have
Yes.
never said those. Should have never said those
that.
words because he confirmed the new level of expectations.
Yeah.
When he
Well,
said
they
that.
not
You
only
gotta be
said
careful.
it.
Sirianni hadn't done that yet. Nobody on the Eagles have wisely done that yet. But you need to be careful with.
Well, Jody, they not only said it, they plastered it all over the building. They had new norm, up in the building. Yeah, it was a mistake. That's a fly in the ointment because I don't care who they hire, and I've said this pretty consistently. They are not going to match the success statistically of this team. They are not. They are not. And I'll say it 100 times. They are not going to match. Now, if they win the Super Bowl, it doesn't matter. If you're 12-5 and win the Super Bowl, it doesn't matter. But
right,
they're
not 14-3. How dare you go 12-5? You win the Super Bowl. All is forgiven.
Yeah. En route to it, you're going to hear a lot of that. Oh, this team's not as good. This team's not as good. And ultimately, the only way they can disprove it is by winning the Super Bowl. So the expectations are already out of whack. If you want to talk about flies in the ointment, start there.
Correct. And some jerk here yesterday on Birds 365 said, oh, yes, I expect the Eagles to be back in the Super Bowl. They should be the favorite to be back in the Super Bowl next year in the NFC. Somebody did a pretty good job of setting that bar pretty high, jerk. I guess I should start to apologize.
Well, they should be.
No, I'm not apologizing. They are the best team in the NFC, and they should be the favorite to go back to the Super Bowl again.
They should be favorite right now. What's today's date? I got to get my phone. February 22nd.
2-2-2.
They should be the favorite right now on February 26th, but we haven't gone through free agency. We haven't gone through the coaching staff changes. We haven't gone through the draft. A lot of dominoes to fall. On February 22nd, they are the favorite. Now, get me in April after the draft, after free agency.
A whole bunch of things can happen between now and then that will potentially change it. And one of them could be the removal of the tush push. Yeah, it's going, folks. Sorry to say. Now, again, before we have punch down up, I'm already putting qualifiers on it. They're not outlaying the ability to sneak the football in the National Football League. You're still going to be able to run a quarterback sneak. And Jalen Hurts is still going to be able to pump 900 pounds with his legs. He just isn't going to have Dallas Goedert behind him, picking him up and making sure he gets that first down. Paul Domwich got Dean Blandino to go on the record and say he thinks it's going by the wayside this offseason in the NFL. We're going to talk to him about that and everything else Eagles related. Damo's up next here on Birds 3.